is Ilya Pukhalski. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a warm hand.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi. I'm sorry for such a delay, but it's very difficult for me to accomplish spaghetti with my beard. But anyway, today I will be talking about bots, and I will be continuing the topic of natural user interfaces as well. And first, a bit about myself. I work for EPAM as solution architect, as well as I'm one of the co-founders of Web.Not-Bombs community in Minsk, Belarus. Apart from that, why I'm talking about bots is that in my spare time, I work on the API, cross-platform API, which supports different platforms for chatbots and provides a bit more integration-wise background for developers. It means that you have everything set up, like NLP, analytics, integrations with payments, right away by using the platform. If you're interested in it, we are doing closed beta testing right now. So just come to me and say, I will give you an invite. And what we'll be covering today is actually what's happening right now with the market, why bots are happening right now actually, what is chatbot, where do they live, what platforms, possibilities of those platforms, conversational user experience is a pretty good topic to cover as well. And the last topic will be about bot as a product, because it's kind of hard to understand right now how to productize bots, but it's possible anyway. And we'll start with some facts. So it's not a surprise that mobile is dominating right now. So people are using mobile everywhere, driving with car even, right? So they're catching Pokemons while driving, And right now, people are using mobile more than web. So they're browsing mobile web, and from mobile device, I mean more than web from desktops. On the other hand, they are spending more time in apps. So only 10% of time, on average, they're spending in a browser, mobile browser. And about 30% of all time, they're spending in messengers, right? Only Japan here is like 20%. They're crazy, right? And actually, messengers in monthly active users have more, biggest amount of monthly active users than social networks right now, which is kind of perfect, right? Because we're transition towards more chatting instead of more posting pictures, I hope. On the other hand, from global perspective, we have multi-channel business model transitioning to omni-channel, which means that 5 years back, probably businesses weren't thinking about how to deliver the same experience across all the channels. For example, I can start buying a product on Amazon from my mobile device and then make an actual purchase on my desktop while being at home, right? And I want to be logged in, I want to have my order history, I want to have the same experience and the same feature set, right? And these new channels to interact with the user are growing very fast. For example, in new iOS, you have interactive push notifications where you can push different templates like maps, you can push buttons, you can push dialogues, and many more. Apart from that, you have in iMessage app, you will have apps within iMessage app, right? And in this case, you can probably do a payment to another person through iMessage. Two more channels which are interesting are Apple News and Facebook Instant Articles. You probably don't know about it, but while browsing Facebook, sometimes you click on the article and you see it opens instantly. This is actually the technology behind the Facebook Instant Articles. In this case, actually, we have less user interface, right? Because user interface is provided by the application itself, on the environment itself, and we're building just the part behind, which means that in most cases, for new channels to interact with user, we don't need user interface to be built. The same works for chatbots nowadays. But what is actually a chatbot? So Wikipedia says that it's a computer program which conducts an intelligent conversation with one or more human users via auditory or textual methods. So I need to underline intelligent here, because I want to give you some examples why actually bots won't conquer the Earth and the human beings. Here's the first one from 1966. It's Eliza, the first probably well-known chatbot. And I probably will name it Tell Me More bot, because I spent some time talking to it, and actually for each word I'm trying to push to her, trying to push to answer my question, it says, tell me more about that, tell me more about that. So this was the first try, right? Then Alice, like 30 years after Eliza. So it's Dodge a question bot. She will never answer your question if she doesn't know the answer. She'll probably answer with another question, like for example here, tell me more about JavaScript. And she's answering like, are you a man or a woman? Yeah, it's relevant, right? Next, Smarter Child, or sex bot. So by statistics, 60% of all traffic, we're trying to have sex with Smarter Child, which is kind of cool, right? Having a sex with a bot. Then Watson. You've probably heard about Watson, right? IBM Watson. And one time, Watson downloaded the whole library of Urban Dictionary and started putting bullshit word everywhere in every sentence, right? Then Microsoft A, it's from March of 2016. And from the first day, it was kind of cool to speak to this Twitter bot and get relevant answers. But 24 hours later, it turns out this bot to be a racist. Okay, so I wouldn't tell that chatbot should be intelligent. So let's keep it simple, that it's a computer program which conducts a conversation with one or more humans. So where do bots live? So probably you have spoken to some bots on Slack, right? On Facebook Messenger, Kik, or any other messaging application you're using. But apart from that, there are a lot of bots that are living in dedicated native apps, or they're SMS-based or web-based. But we will be talking about over-the-top bots. It means that the bots built on the top of the platform. Like Slack, Messenger, Line, HipChat, Skype, Kik, and Telegram, which are the most popular platforms right now. You can do bots if you know the tricks and how to communicate with hidden APIs or parse the messages with Twitter, bots for WeChat or WhatsApp. WeChat allows it to do only for enterprises or businesses, actually. Viber does the same thing. I don't know why. But for Viber, WeChat, there are kind of API libraries, but you need to have a phone number because these messengers are bound to the phone number. Let's talk a bit about technical possibilities. You probably know that you can send messages, right? You can send different attachments like pictures, like videos. Some messengers allow you to send audio or some other entities like location or contact. But I will show you the most interesting ones. For example, custom keyboards. It's not so easy to type every answer to the bot, right? It could be easier to just type one time and receive an answer from the bot by the answer by custom keyboard. So actually you can allow user to click to have a predefined options to answer. Other thing is that you can share location or contact, but only for Telegram. So for example, it works for weatherman. You can share your location, and it says that your city is set to Vilnius, and it's clear throughout the day. Perfect. Next is rich templates, which brings us a topic about hybrid interfaces. You don't have only conversation through text. You can have some buttons. You can send out receipts to users of your bot. You can send some airline-related templates like check-in or boarding pass. For example, here I'm using Skyscanner to find my next destination for the vacation. And it has a slider for suggestions. For example, do you want to go to Malaga or any other place? And for example, KLM, which is Dutch airline, heavily uses the bot API for Messenger, and it provides the boarding pass through the Messenger. So you don't need to swap over another application to have your boarding pass or purchase a ticket. What about audience? How audience differs from platform to platform? Because we do have different platforms like Slack, Kik, Telegram, and Messenger, for example, and they do really have different audience. For example, Kik is being used by younger audience in the United States and Canada only, which means that brands like H&M or Sephora are kind of get into this platform because their audience is there, right? Slack is more related to your daily routine and work, and they're trying to push Slack apps to be more into productive space. But Messenger keeps to be Kik-like, but for older audience. It means that it has CNN, it has Kik, Skyscanner, because we have money for vacation. And Telegram is kind of weird in this setup, because there are different strategy games, poker games, and libraries over there. I don't know how to play strategy game. I was trying it for 1 hour, but never succeed. And this audience have a lot of intersections. I realized that there is a trend to build cross-platform bots right now. For example, these 4 examples are cross-platform between at least 2 of them. The reason question is why Facebook, why Microsoft, Kik, and other players right now invest so heavily into chatbots, right? So the answer for this question is very simple. Do you remember what it is? Does anyone have Nokia Lumia or Microsoft Lumia? This is the first answer, partial answer for a question, right? Lumia sales drop constantly each year, and it will be a trend until it will be dead. Who remembers this? What is this? Yes, it's Facebook phone. Can you imagine? Facebook was trying to build a phone. It was Android-based, and you have actually Facebook as your home screen. Guess why it's not successful? So actually, right now, we're trying to realize that bot is not intelligent, and bot is something different than human and how it thinks and what it should do. And bot is actually an application within the application. For example, Mikan bot inside Slack. And the answer to the question why Microsoft, Facebook, and other platforms are investing into bots is that they want the same piece of pie that they didn't have for mobile, because mobile has a huge ecosystem and infrastructure, like in-application payments, right? They have different possibilities to not allow this application to be on store and influence this market from their side, which is great pie, right? And what makes a good application great? Of course, great user experience. And right now, I'm trying to dig deeper into what actually is user experience for bots and what are the principles for building bots. At first, what is conversational user interface? It's very simple. It's a spoken or written way of interacting with the device. And of course, it's a natural way, because we're speaking with words, we're speaking with text, we're messaging with text, and it's natural for all the human beings. Conversational UI has almost no UI, or no UI if it's verbal. There is no need to teach people how to type text, right? It works everywhere out of the box compared to mobile applications. If you want to create a cross-platform mobile application, it's very hard right now. Although we have React Native, although we have Titanium or NativeScript, we still have these differences in terms of OS. Bot needs low bandwidth. It's obvious. Compared to mobile application, you don't need to download anything. You just go and speak to the bot as a normal user. And one more interesting thing is that bots have censorship hole right now. It means that you can publish a sex bot easily. You can publish a bot with porno pictures. It's not good, and I will tell you why we should fix it and how we can fix that. So let's start with the UX principles. The first one is onboarding. This is the first message user sees when opens a bot. It should be short enough for user to understand. You always should allow user to type help command. And of course, it should be readable. It should be written not for programmers, not for developers. It should be written for normal human beings. Here's an example of good onboarding message from Slack bot. They have just announced that you can search Help Center from Slack bot directly. The second principle is users always desire a bot to be as clever as a human if you are trying to make your bot at least as clever as a human. But for bot, it's okay to be dumb. It's okay to provide just one single feature for the bot to at least parse the message and find the keywords. That's enough if the bot makes a deal. And of course, utilize the power of hybrid interfaces. For example, templates, buttons, keyboards, and media, as I have shown previously. It's very easy to tap a button instead of typing a text message. Here's a good example of a concept, how it could look like. Why it's not playing? Okay, here it goes. So it's a flight search. It's a concept before Skyscanner actually introduced their own bot. It was a concept for Skyscanner search. Look at that. How easy it is to use hybrid interface instead of just typing a message. Then making a purchase. Yeah, of course, I'm not trying to sell you something right now. I'm just trying to show you how future could be. The next example is the same kind of experience from another side. It's Ray-Ban store, and it's more e-commerce oriented. So imagine we are buying sunglasses through Messenger. There are some examples of e-commerce bots right now, which allow you to make a purchase with redirecting you to the website. But look at how it's easy here actually to make a purchase, because you have hybrid interface. At some point, it feels like it's not Messenger anymore. Okay, the next principle is if your bot actually pretends to be artificial intelligence driven, so make sure it actually is clever enough to handle the conversation. Otherwise, you can switch to human intelligence instead of artificial one. What is human intelligence? It's actually the same as artificial intelligence, but driven by humans. So there is a huge contact support center sitting and typing messages instead of the bot. So for example, a nice example of that kind of bot is email bot Emmy, which is powered by X.AI. If you CC Emmy and you want to schedule a meeting, it's very easy. People behind it will do it for you. But they claim they have truly AI behind it. But it's not this way. Other thing is that tone of voice and personality of bot really matters. If you do kick bot, you need to make tone of voice the same as youngsters could understand. If you make a bot for Slack, it should be concrete. Here's a good example of Poncho, weather bot. It has a nice personality of cat, and it does jokes as well. It's pretty weird jokes, but it does it. And of course, we type like shit. We do a lot of misspells, we do a lot of mistypes, and bot should be able to understand if we have done it. So for example, the same Poncho bot can understand it. I was intentionally doing some mistakes here. And you see, he makes jokes again. It truly feels like that today, right? One more thing which is missing in bots is user context. Most of the bots don't understand that you have moved to another country or to another city. Most of the bots cannot track location. But you should be able to do some tricks to allow your bot to do that. For example, if I go to website, I can see whether I'm logged in or not logged in. I can see what is my balance there. I can see what menu options are available. And Messenger introduced the same way of interacting with bot as a menu. The next principle is that good chatbot, as a good application, should do only one single thing. It shouldn't be a Swiss knife. And of course, bots have a limited number of use cases. Do you remember Nothing Up? Do you know Nothing Up? You can buy it for $1, and it does nothing. So what we have learned so far? So bots actually shouldn't be intelligent. Most of the bots are useless nowadays. Let's face the truth. Tech possibilities are limited, very limited, but we know that there are possibility to make a hybrid interface instead of truly, fully messaging, text-only interface. User expectations are really high, and users really perceive bots as clever beings. Bots won't disappear because all huge companies are doing a lot of investments, injections into bots. And good conversational user experience is really challenging. But let's talk about the ecosystem. What's happening right now with ecosystem for bots? For applications, we do have mobile stores, we do have many API available. For chatbots, we do have some of that features, but not all. For example, Slack has bot store, Kik, and Telegram do the same, but I don't see any payment here. I would like to charge a user for using my bot as well. There are some unofficial bot stores. This is just bot list, which provides you all the bot for all the platforms. And of course, bots need platform and device integrations. I need to know when my user changes the city, right? For example, if I asked Poncho to provide the weather for tomorrow, I like to know bot should know that actually I'm going to Vilnius, and I should be able to provide this information. For example, allowing to access to location API. It could be cool to play with in-bot payments. It could be cool to share contacts, to see accelerometer features playing with bots together. On the other hand, we have a lack of tooling and lack of infrastructure for bots. For example, bot actually is an application. You want to track what users do within this application, so you need to have analytics installed for the bot. I found so far 2 major services providing this feature, but nothing else. So the first one works only for Telegram, the second one works for any bot. On the other hand, we have a lot of platforms which allow you to build a bot in a visual way, but I don't think it shouldn't be done this way, because the bot should actually be driven by technology, not by spreadsheet. And of course, bot is a product. And you should consider bot as a product while developing it. And you obviously know that there is a software development lifecycle, product development lifecycle, any other life cycles. And obviously, first you analyze what you are doing, then you have UX part, visualization part, code, test, release, and then back through the cycle. The only one difference for bot is that instead of visualization, you have scripting. So it means that you should write a proper scripting for your bots. It means text, copy, images, what is personality of the bot, what is tone of voice of this bot, what text it uses. And of course, you should remember that what is MVP. Don't make a Swiss knife from your bot. And as a resolution for this talk, I want to tell you that the chatbots right now become a part of omnichannel business model. It means that you should consider it and should start thinking about your company bot strategy. Thank you. 4 minutes.